What's up, and welcome to a very special episode of the Uncle Cyborg Show, where we talk about our favorite things about video games while keeping it rated E for everyone. I'm your host today, Super Nolan Man, joined by Matthew Daniels, aka Dat Boy Few.
Oh,
We've also got here the Hyrule King himself, Bo Mitchell.
oh,
And today we are doing the inaugural Uncle Cyborg Awards. Now, obviously, we're just three dudes. We don't play every single game that comes out. I'm going to let y'all know ahead of time. You are not going to find Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 on this list. You are not going to find Death Stranding 2 on this list because I'm the only man here who doesn't hate Hideo Kojima. And
I need to play Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 still.
that's true. I know that one's sitting in your backlog. I remember you picking that up.
Yeah.
But anyways, that aside, let me kind of tell you how this is going to work. So, this is obviously just between us. We're going to tell you the nominees for each of the awards in just a minute here. And we're going to go through and we're going to talk about why we nominated the games we did. Each of us independently gave our nominees, and we just whittled them down to the list we have for you today, and then voted on who we thought should be the winner for each award here. And let me talk through each of the awards real quick. First of all, we're going to have Best Score. Your nominees are going to be we'll go through the nominees when we get to the individual awards. Best Score, highlighting the best score of the year. And that may mean different things to different people. But we're just talking about music in a game. Next up is going to be best level. We're looking at the actual design and how it works, what made some of our favorite games very special. And the third category is going to be best direction. We're talking about decisions made by the director that really make the game work the way it should. Whether they changed up something from a previous game that was a really good decision, or the actual philosophy they had in mind going forward. It can be even just a very good game mechanic. After that is going to be best. Yeah, after that is going to be best narrative. We're talking about story in video games. It doesn't have to necessarily be just the plot, but it probably is. And finally, we have overall game of the year. And before I explain that, there's going to be a sixth award given next week for best game. That's right. We are breaking up overall game of the year and best game. So best game, obviously, we're talking about what is the definitive best game of that year. But game of the year, or overall game of the year, on the other hand, let me make sure that I have this the way that I wrote it earlier, so that I don't go back and forth.
Yeah,
on
that
it.
would be good to specify.
Yes. So there we go. Okay. So let me give you the description for how Uncle Cyborg does game of the year versus best game. Best game is, of course, just best game. Well, that's us telling you which game we thought was the best game to release that year. Overall game of the year recognizes a game of exceptional quality whose impact, influence, and cultural presence defined the gaming year as a whole. So yes, it has to be a great game. It needs to be a top tier game. But it's not just simply who did it best. It is when people look back at 2025, as gaming collectively looks back on 2025, 10 years from now, what game are they going to associate with it? But with that, let's dive right into these. First up, best score. Our nominees are Claire Obscure, Expedition 33, Dynasty Warriors Origins, Hollow Knight Silksong, Mario Kart World, and South of Midnight. Who wants to start us off talking about our nominees here?
Well, I think Matthew should describe Dynasty Warriors because I won't be any good at that.
All right, so Dynasty Warriors, it's a lot of like Chinese music.
We're going to get demonetized because Matthew nailed that.
What? It really is.
Yeah, we're going to get a copyright claim. They're going to say, hey, you're using our music in your video. All right.
Pretty cool.
Okay, well, how about we go down the list? Clair Obscur, Expedition 33. I think Bo is probably the best person to kick off Clair Obscur.
Yes. Oh man, there are so many times in this game where you just get to a new area and the music hits you, and you have to just sit there for a little while and listen to it because the music's that good, and you're just like, "Oh my word, how did he make a score this good?"
Mm-hmm.
And this is his first time.
Rookie.
Like, absolutely nuts that he made a score this good first time. And yeah, like it ranges from like operatic tracks to like piano to like he has crazy jazz when Minoko comes in. uh Easily one of the best themes. I love Minoko's theme. It's so good. Um yeah, like just so much range. A lot of people have compared it to like Miyoshi Soken.
She.
Just because similar, where he has variations in styles. Um, yeah, I think it's pretty incredible what he did here. It's gonna go down as like one of the best soundtracks ever made.
Right. And then let's talk Hollow Knight Silk Song. Bo, why don't you take this one as well?
Okay. Man, Christopher Larkin, he absolutely nailed it out of the park with Hollow Knight's soundtrack, and he brings a lot of that same energy with this one. I will fully admit myself, I like the first soundtrack better. But that might also be just because I like the first game better. Tough to say.
Sure.
Uh, but that being said, I have listened to this soundtrack a ton this year. There's some really standout tracks. Um, yeah, just basically every single track pops exactly where it needs to. Christopher Larkin is, you know, genius composer in my opinion. Uh, some standout tracks would probably be the Clockwork Soldier fight. That one's really excellent. The sound design with that one too, like it fits really well with the song. Lace's boss fight music is always good. Every version of it. Um, what's the name of the one I really listen to a lot is Deep Water. That song's really good. It's kind of got more of a chill vibe, I guess. I don't know how you describe that song, but yeah, a lot of range. Maybe not as much range as Clair Obscur, but still has a lot of that similar range Christopher Larkin brought with the first soundtrack. And I think people are gonna remember this one just as much as Hollow Knight. So
Yeah, you mentioning the Clockworks made me think, man, we should have done an award for best boss fight.
should have, yeah.
And it would have either gone to Cogworks, or it would have gone to the final boss of Donkey Kong Bonanza. But
Yeah,
but
maybe.
anyways, missed
Secret Boss
opportunity.
in
Maybe
Clair
next
Obscur.
year.
That's a really good one.
But
Although some people hate that, right?
For these other two nominees here, Mario Kart World, man,
That's a great soundtrack.
From from the ground up, brand new arrangement of all the best songs in the Mario catalog, including a handful from Donkey Kong Country as well. Absolutely not just it's almost unfair because you're taking what's already some of the best music of all times, and you could have just taken all those and put them into the game and people would have been happy. But instead, we're saying, hey, this is a road trip video game. We're gonna do a road trip remix of every single one of these songs, and every single one of them is going to be recreated, rearranged from the ground up based on the open road ahead. And that takes an incredible amount of care. It is so cool to see Mario Kart get the real AAA treatment. That Nintendo doesn't always give to its games in general, but even just Mario Kart. I'm sorry, Mario Kart is just not special for its music in the past. Mario Kart 8 was the first time where we were like, wow. There's a handful of tracks
coming
in
off
there.
Mario Kart 8. Mario Kart 8 was an amazing soundtrack too.
Oh, it was, and it's
Yeah.
great to see them keep that up here. But also the live instrumentation for most of this. I mean, yeah, great all the way throughout. It's to me, it's almost unfair. And then the other one here, South of Midnight. Talk about a
Very interesting
score
soundtrack.
that services the game and the gameplay. Because at the end of the day, my philosophy when it comes to best score is what serviced its game the best, what heightened the experience and really made you focus in where they want you to focus in. And in this particular case, doing a lot of the heavy lifting of storytelling through its music. Now, I understand that Claire Obscure does some of this with like leitmotifs and things like that. But when looking out South of Midnight, it's not one that a lot of people would look at and be like, oh, this is, real artsy and stuff like that. There's a lot of pop music. Grant, there's a lot of pop music in Claire Obscure as well. But South of Midnight, this every single boss fight has this incredible banger of a soundtrack that and so much dynamic instrumentation going on, whereas you are going through these storms and you're running and you're jumping. It's like I was gonna say Ape Escape. I meant Ape Out, where the drums are building up and building up as you're doing things, and the music shifts based on how you're platforming through the level. For this team, I am crazy impressed by what they managed to pull off with the soundtrack. But
yeah, definitely.
At the end of the day, only one of these can be our winner. So the winner, and first Uncle Cyborg award recipient, goes to Claire Obscure Expedition 33. Woo. Congratulations to you, Claire Obscure. And a very deserved award. I think they were my number 3 for this award. Very an incredible first at bat for this guy. Coming literally out of nowhere. Has absolutely no nuts. Video game credits to his name, and has
no composing credits to his name.
Exactly,
like just had a SoundCloud.
Mm-hmm. A crazy start for this guy. Hopefully, he has a great career ahead of him, and I hope he only gets better from here. Well, same. Let's move on to the next award for us. That's going to be Best Level, and your nominees for Best Level are The Basement from Blueprints, Battle of Chibi from Dynasty Warriors Origins, Feast Slayer from Donkey Kong Bonanza, Flying Waters, Claire Obscure Expedition 33, and Mount Fae from Hollow Knight Silksong. Let's start from the top. The Basement of Blueprints, for a game that is, let's be real. Let me set the record straight in case y'all don't already know. Blueprints, we need to stop calling this a puzzle game, is a roguelike deck builder. That's what it is. It's a roguelike deck builder with a lot of puzzle elements. But where this formula really sings, and I get that there's post-game things that a lot of people are still just picking up on. There's a whole lot to do. This is a 300-hour game if you want it to be. But for the whole base level experience of getting to room 46, when you get that basement section and you are having to put all the pieces together of what you got to do a little bit of exploring to make sure that you're placing things correct, so that when you get the perfect run, the one you need, you've made sure that you've set up the basement the right way ahead of time. Plus, you have isolated puzzles on the way up to it, and there's just not a ton of isolated puzzles in this game. I numerically, I understand, but for this being advertised as a puzzle game in a lot of ways, the fact that it all came together here and it just absolutely fired on all cylinders, phenomenal. Nothing, very few things that I've ever had like it. But moving on, let's talk about Battle of Chibi from Dynasty Warriors, Matthew.
First off, it was so good. After I was done, I hit the little button and I recorded the last hour, or last 30 minutes or whatever.
Nice.
I haven't watched it yet, but I was like, I gotta save that just in case. It's the culmination of the story. So, basically it's the precursor to the War of the Three Kingdoms, and so you kind of have this a couple different kingdoms are kind of having their issues, and it all culminates on this last battle. It's on a river, and so there's all these boats, and basically you're gonna have to find a way across, and they amp up the difficulty on this one. There's a lot of back and like having to read the battlefield and go to the proper place and helping out the right people. And then there's also a little gimmick where you have to kind of watch the wind and see when it's blowing the right direction so you can make a signal. And then the third thing, you're fighting through a big old fireball. Everything's on fire, and you're just like bonk, killing everything. And then after you do that, you cross, and then you got to fight the big boss at the end. But you're fighting him like while all your teammates are fighting all of his teammates, and so like they're all fighting, and then you're like having to dodge around and get rid of them, and then fight him. So it's just one big epic fight.
It's
That's cool.
Yep, doing those big wide scale battles are tough to do, and Dynasty Warriors is known for getting that done right. But across the board, I've only heard about how they really stepped it up for this. So fantastic there. Moving on to the feast there from Donkey Kong Bonanza, which I'm sure we've all got some that we could say about this, but I'm gonna throw it to Matthew first for this.
I like the cheeseburgers. I like the fryer, and I like that the level has. It's not just like gimmicks. It's like, for example,
I like food.
There's a fryer, right, for French fries, and that fryer plays like into the level. It's not just there to be there or stuff like that. And you get to make
More
a
than
big cheeseburger.
that dressing. That is true. All right, but what do you think about Feast Slayer?
I like how they combined food with like a carnival theme. It really fits well. And there's some really cool like theming. Like there's the graveyard. There's like the carousel you have to run up with the zebra. There's a lot of cool places in this one, and I like how they have the rail carts. You can go around and get bananas and stuff you wouldn't normally be able to get when you're on the rail car. Pretty fun level.
Yeah, this one crushed it for me on so many sides. First of all, we only allowed one level from each game to be represented here. I'm pretty sure Donkey Kong Bonanza could have had 3 nominations in this category.
That's true.
But we went with Feast Slayer, and what they really crushed it with is, like everyone's saying, it is the set dressing serves actual function gameplay wise. It's interactive with every single one of these, which is the whole thing of the game. Is anything in the game you should be able to interact with, and they really dialed it up here with how uniquely you can work with things, between how you're going to use salt throughout the level and things like that.
A lot of using salt.
There is, but the way that they set this one up is really great, because a lot of this game is just moving forward from point A straight through to point B. And in this one, it's bringing you around, and you are going to actually explore the amusement park. And as you explore the amusement park and basically just have fun, you're going to you're going to build a burger. you're going to get done the task you need to get done to make this happen. And in each area, it's focusing a different mechanic that you've had to do throughout the game, and they're saying, hey, you're now going to have to do this at a high level that you haven't had to do before. And outside of the actual final run of this game, it's where a lot of the challenge ends up being. But the secrets, I mean, you could go on and on about this level. It was the part that they really nailed this throughout the game. Next up, Flying Waters from Clair Obscure Expedition 33.
Yeah, that's me. So I'll fully admit, like, in terms of level design, it's pretty simple as a level. But that's kind of intended because it's more, beginning area. There is actually a lot of secrets you can come back later and get. It's cool. What is incredible with this level is the set design is just absolutely mind-blowing. like you look overhead, there's a giant whale that flies by, or I guess swims by, and like there's a giant like ship and an anchor comes down, and like probably like one of the coolest areas I've ever seen in a game, like hands
Absolutely.
down. Like it's crazy good set design, and there's all
Not
these
to
like
mention
great
maybe the
little
best music in the
details.
game.
Yeah, there's great music there too. All these like great little details where like a bunch of crabs will go across, like air bubbles that come up. Man, it just incredible attention to detail in that level, like absolutely nuts.
Yeah. And on a gameplay level, like we said, it's because of the genre that this is in, it's more level design is often going to be a thing of how are you going to be creative with taking you from scenario to scenario.
Mhm.
But what they've done here is they did a lot of great tutorialization that doesn't just hold your hand through it, but kind of pushes you to start actually doing things on your own. Because when you were leading up to this area, it was like all right, click this. We're going to
Yeah,
take
it's
you on
very
a very
hallway
specific
before
path.
this. Yeah,
This is where it doesn't necessarily open up like it's now go anywhere, but this is where they really start introducing you're following the lights to get to where you need to go. Um,
Mhm.
you start getting little bits of lore and world building in this area here that this whole set piece is designed for. A level it, it, a lot of folks, like if you watch like Game Maker's Toolkit or something like that, they oftentimes take level design down to like the specific gameplay portion of it, but there's a lot else that happens in games aside from the actual gameplay itself.
yeah.
And even though this does advance gameplay, what it does on advancing everything else for the game kind of begins with the flying waters and moves off from there. It's the real jumping off point for the rest of
Yeah,
the game.
it's where you see the real spectacle this game can pull off.
Yep. But and then finally, Mount Fae from Hollow Knight Silk Song. There's a lot of levels that you could look at through Hollow Knight, and it's so hard to say because a lot of what makes a Metroidvania really solid is the interconnectivity of these places,
Mhm.
because you're basically like, okay, this whole map is basically like a ball of yarn and you're just going to have to unravel it as you go on ahead, as you're finding power-ups and using that to advance your scope of explorability, things like that. So it makes identifying a particular level tricky to do in a Metroidvania. However, Mount Fae does such a cool thing here with being, first of all, completely optional. You do not need to
Yeah,
do this to do well, optional, quote unquote. It depends on
it's
if you want
optional.
to
Yeah,
if you want to get the true ending.
yeah, true ending you have to, but
Yeah.
yep.
If you want to get Act 3, you have to do it. But if you're good for getting the what is clearly not the intended ending, then you don't have to do it. But anyways, um, but this game or this portion here is it, it's not quite Path of Pain, but honestly, I like this more than Path of Pain. If I'm
I think this
totally
is
honest with myself,
the
I
best challenge level I've ever seen in a Metroidvania. Like,
I
it's just so
agree.
well built.
I agree because it's not just it's broken up very well. That's the first part of this, is because of this mechanic going on where it is you are going to freeze to death when you are not near lanterns. These lanterns are, I would say, perfectly placed. They literally could not have gone another screen over, or it would have been not really doable. Like it would have been just the absolute worst, being like, okay, I have to be perfect with my timing here. Or if they'd done a screen easier, it's too easy. So they really place these out perfectly. Uh, the it is a this is a real challenge course. You do have to really master the mechanics through there, and then the
Mhm.
award you get is what everybody's been wanting the entire game, that
The double
double
jump.
jump.
Yeah,
And now that you get that double jump, like by proving your worth and showing that I can do the top tier platforming that this game requires. Here's your reward. Now you get the platform to be a lot easier for the rest of the game, and you have a little bit of forgiveness and stuff like that by picking up that second.
There's some pretty hard sections in there besides that one.
On top of, it's true,
Yeah.
But it just the way that this is nailed from start to finish, on top of being absolutely beautiful and some of the best music in the game.
Oh yeah. Oh man.
Love this.
And fun fact, they actually reward exploration, because if you have some of the fire items, you can use to keep yourself warm, which I thought was super cool.
Yep.
Yeah, really nice. Touch.
All right. Well, with that, the award for best level is going to Feast Layer Donkey Kong Bonanza.
Well,
this was the only one that ended up on every list of submissions. Congratulations to Nintendo and Donkey Kong Bonanza there. Well, moving on to best direction. Our nominees are Clair Obscur Expedition 33, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Dynasty Warriors Origins, Hades 2, Pokemon Legends Z through A. Bo, go ahead and talk about why Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is here yet again.
Yeah. Oh man. So I think this might be one of the biggest steps JRPGs have taken in a really long time with this game.
RPGs.
Well, genre. I mean, this is basically a JRPG made by a French team. Anyway.
And they say as much.
Yeah. This is the biggest step this genre has taken in a really, really long time. And that, I think, is why so many people gave it the praise it got, is because it's so fresh. Like, you take the timed hits from, like, Mario games, like Mario RPG, of, like Super Mario RPG, Paper Mario, Mario and Luigi, and you put them in a 3D engine, which to my knowledge, I don't think anybody's ever done that before. And then you add, like, you put that with Final Fantasy X and having the layered turns. Perfect. Like, they absolutely nailed that, and they kept it fresh the entire game. And there's actually some really challenging stuff, like the secret boss with the timed hits. Like, there's a reason that one is infamous, because they don't pull their punches with that one. So yeah.
Yeah, great stuff out of this game. On the how do they there's a phrase that they always use. It's going to kill me that I can't think of what that is called. I remember writing it down somewhere. Snap. I'm sorry. I had this here. Oh, here we go. Yes. Reactive turn-based combat. That's the phrase that they're using. Reactive turn-based combat, which is this isn't necessarily the first 3D game to do it, but they mastered it here. I don't see how someone can level this up for a very long time, because how it's not just cool. Now you have a parry and you have a dodge. It's not just that. They go in and created this entire system around, if you want to be parry master, you can order your team, you can give them different abilities that are going to let these stack up, and you can make it. Your gameplay shifts dramatically by letting you lean into how you want to do this. If you want to play more traditionally, you're going to be able to do that. But that only comes together.
Paper Mario a little bit.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
This only comes together the way it does by it being so well presented, from top down. They tells different bosses, and some of these are crazy long. It's nuts. But really sweet stuff they did there.
Hits.
But plus the idea of excess all the way through is really what stood out to me for this game because they were like we want this, but we're going to go all the way with it. There was nothing that they held back on. We spared no expense.
Yeah.
But very cool stuff. Moving on to this next one here. We've got sorry, I'm having to scroll through so much here.
Oh, you're good.
There we go. The Donkey Kong Bonanza. And I'll take this one. When I talked in our Donkey Kong Bonanza review, I said, "What's the most annoying part of 3D platformers?" And it's that you're supposed to be doing all the jumping around and the platforming and stuff, but there's all this space between the platforming that is absolutely boring. And then you had Mario Odyssey, which just said, we're going to stretch that stuff out even more. How do you possibly fix this? Well, what if we made the space between the platforming much more fun? And then not just that, but when you go and you start destroying things and stuff like that, you're going to get a cycle to encourage more destruction and messing around. Not just with you collect gold, but also you're building up things that let you break even more. You're going to find more. Yeah, you break faster. Destruction begets more destruction. But in doing this, you've also picked the character that is perfect for this because nobody does destructive power in Nintendo like Donkey Kong does. I'm going to leave it there because I go on and on about this one. And if people want to, they can just watch our Donkey Kong Bonanza review.
Yeah. Well, small thing. I love that they took they had the idea of the moons for Odyssey, and people are like, "Oh, there's too many moons scattered all around." Now you actually have to work for the moons and dig for them. Perfect. That's how you fix that. Easy.
Indeed. Dynasty Warriors Origins, Matthew. You're muted.
Uh-oh.
Oops, there you go. You're basically playing through a movie. The way the dialogue, the music, it all works together well. A lot of the story is told through the combat as well, like things happening in the mission, and the way that you do the UI is really easy to follow. And you're able to see it has a pop-up on screen. And there's also an option if somebody is telling like a story bit, it'll slow down the game. Pause it, I believe. And so that's really cool. And then this is the first, since it's a prequel to the War of the Three Kingdoms, they have you playing as a single person instead of multiple characters. And so that's really cool. And they also have a system with the combat. The more you use a weapon, you can rank up the weapon. Each time you rank up, you level up. And so it encourages you to have to use all the different weapons to get stronger.
Yes.
All right. We've also got Hades 2. Hades 2. Doing a sequel is always a tough one. Because you don't want to change too much about what made your game great. And a lot of people play it either safe with sequels or they buck everything that people enjoyed about this. With this, they very well answered some of the problems that there was in the other game. And the first way they did this was with the cast system, where now when you cast, you're leaving in basically in trapping circle that you can just let enemies not go there. You can deal damage over time. You can use it to say, I'm going to freeze this group of enemies here while I work on these over here, and allow them to open up a lot more and really let go and say, you know what, let's swarm you with enemies now, but now it's fair when this happens. But on top of that, one of my biggest issues with roguelites is progression going through. Progression in roguelites is really tough to nail, and it's part of the reason I can't stand the genre for the most part, aside from a Hades or a Hades
sometimes.
2. But one game that absolutely crushed it in recent years was Vampire Survivors, and the way that they did it for me, that kept me glued to it and wanting to do that next run, is that there was always a goal for me ahead of time. In a game where your advancements are so minor, these minuscule additions and growth as you go through, what Vampire Survivors did is I knew, cool, well, I haven't done this weapon combination before, and I know if I wait out long enough, I'll get this weapon combination to come up, and I can do that. Well, I can't necessarily do that with the boons here or anything like that. There is something I'm going for each time where I can say, cool, if I can just get a little bit more of this material, I can go back and I can get something that's going to make things better for me for future runs. And I've got some kind of goal that I can do each time. And I never come back from a run being like, well, that was wasted, which I experienced with Hades 1 pretty frequently.
All the time.
They did exactly what I needed them to do in this game here.
Nice.
They answered the issues that honestly the genre has underlying. Final one here, Matthew. Pokemon Legends Z through A. You're muted again.
Sorry.
Oh man.
Typically, they went away from. They pretty much went away from everything that Pokemon is as a staple. They locked it to you're just in a city, which people were worried about that possibly being too small. I think it's perfect because they fill just enough amount of stuff in it that you're able to walk across the place. I didn't really find myself fast traveling too much. Did a good job of making the world explorable. Sometimes it'll be a big area, but they don't make it easy to explore. This place, it felt like everything was just leading you to the next place to explore. I think the combat, I don't know if I'd want to play another Pokemon game that isn't this type of combat. I feel like was really well done. I like the real time system. It makes it a lot more. You feel a lot better using like debuffs and stuff, because it's not you don't have to get hit trying to waiting to use one. Catching Pokemon with the after combat's done. I just feel like every kind of new direction they went worked out. Even the platforming, while it was relatively basic, I still felt was pretty fun, and I actually found myself just looking around to see what there was, and so that's a sign that the platform was at least decent. So I feel like pretty much everything they tried in this was a success in my opinion. That's why I've had put it on as good direction.
Absolutely, you sold me on it. The winner for the Uncle Cyborg Award, Best Direction, goes to Donkey Kong Bonanza. Congratulations again, Nintendo. You did it again. Well, this next category, Best Narrative. Obviously, we don't want to spoil games for folks. We don't want to talk too much about it. So we're going to intentionally go really short on each of these here. Guys, see if we can talk about these in 20 seconds or less. So let's start. Best Narrative. First nominee, Claire Obscure, Expedition 33. Tell us about it.
Oh boy, 20 seconds or less, huh? So I love what this narrative does, where it sets up an expectation, and you see, like, it's all in your face of, like, everybody's dying when the number is set, and, like, there's this terrible thing, and then it rips that expectation away from you, and then it's like, this is what it actually is. And it puts it, like, right there. Very, very brave storytelling. A lot of people aren't willing to commit to, but they fully commit to it, which was excellent. And just in general, all of the characters are really fun and interesting, and you get to, like, spend a lot of time with them. Some of them I was like, oh, this person is sticking around with us, but, like, later on, you're like, I'm really glad that you kept this character because I really started to like them after a while. Which, great writing. And the villains in this, you really feel for, like, why they're doing what they're doing. More so than, like, a lot, like, any other. That's, like, a common trend of a lot of things lately, is having a sympathetic villain. This is, like, the best version of that I think I've seen. Where it's like, okay, this actually makes sense why you did that. Like, for sure.
All right.
Hopefully
Next
that was 30
seconds. Next up, Dynasty Warriors Origins. Matthew, take it away.
Oh, he's muted again.
Yeah, you wish I was muted. Here's the best parts about Dynasty Warriors Origins, right? You've got this. It's telling basically a Chinese epic, right? You've got a lot of kind of cool military things going on. They do a really good job with the characters, making them feel larger than life, like the main guys. And then it splits off, and there's kind of 3 paths you can take, and they do a good job of, like, when you play through a different path, you intersect with each other, but they make a good job of splitting them up so they're each different. You get to kind of see different sides of the kingdoms and get to see why they're doing what they're doing. I think it's really good. There's also kind of like a little personal story your character has as well.
All right. Up next, Ghost of Yote.
Yeah. So I'll be the first person to admit I don't like the story as much as Ghost of Tsushima, but what is here, I think a lot of people are underselling what they're doing. It's the stereotypical revenge plot, but it's done so well compared to a lot of other revenge plots where it's actually interesting. Um, Seeing her grow and like showing what revenge, more so than a lot of other revenge stories, I think this revenge story does well at showing the negatives of completely following revenge. So there's a lot of times where she like basically spits in the people's faces that are trying to help her just because she wants the revenge so bad, and it blows up in her face, which is really cool. I mean, I there's not very many revenge stories that I know of where it's to this extent where she basically loses almost everything and like barely scrapes through with anything at the end, which I thought was really powerful. Not as powerful as Ghost of Tsushima, but very powerful. To the point where at the end I was like, man, I actually legitimately feel for this character, and I didn't think I would at all.
Sure.
Yeah, they won me over. It was pretty great. Easily the best part of that game is the story they told.
All right. And that's pretty sweet for a game with excellent combat.
Yeah.
But best narrative, next up, Keeper. This was the new game from I believe it was Double Fine, Psychonauts devs, and Keeper. There's a lot of games that want to break your heart, right? But this is one that it breaks your heart only so that it can grow you. And this game tells a great story about how we keep one another and the lengths that we'll go to basically lift up the next person. And it's heartfelt all the way through, but there's a timing and building that is very necessary to make these moments hit the way they do. This could have very easily just been one of those dime a dozen indie games that are just trying to get, games for impact awards and things like that.
Yeah.
None of that here. They told a genuinely heartfelt story that made me think about, the people that I want to, lift up. So next up, Super Robot Y, Matthew.
Yeah, Super Robot Wars basically probably haven't. I assume people, if you're watching, probably haven't heard of it. It's kind of like a multiverse. It's like a multiverse turn-based tactics robot game. It does a really good job of handling. This is the first one I ever played. Does a really good job of having multiple different shows that are like not connected in any way, shape, or form, throwing them all together, giving you a plot of this war that's taking place and who's on what sides, and the backstories of the characters, all making it accessible for someone like me who hasn't seen like 99% of what they're talking about. So I think that's something worth shouting out. That's probably hard to do, I imagine.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right, so the winner for the Uncle Cyborg Award for Best Narrative goes to
Keeper.
Claire Obscure, Expedition 33. Congratulations, folks. Well done over there. Very, very twist heavy game.
Yeah.
For one, but absolutely credit to the cast who made this story come to life. Because this
Great
could
voice
have easily
acting there,
fallen
too.
on its face without the excellent performances to keep it afloat and make us feel for these characters. Very well done, guys. All right, time for our final award for today, overall game of the year. Let me reiterate that this is not the award for best game. That will be next week. We will be doing our top 10 games of 2025 and ready to talk about those. And we will let you know what the Uncle Cyborg best game of 2025 is. This is more for overall game of the year. This is what game was both excellent but also defined the year in terms of impact and cultural relevancy. So let's start off with the first nominee here, Clear Obscure Expedition 33.
Yeah. Uh, it's hard to like succinctly put this, but like, you know, they won Game of the Year from the actual award show. You know, I think it's gotten a lot of people to like everybody was super mad that they won so many awards, but I've seen a lot of people who are like going back and playing it now. They're like,
Yeah.
man, this is why everybody liked it so much. Wow. Because it really does do something that JRPGs have never done. I think that's going to be, you know, defining moment. Well, like never done to this extent.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
maybe a better way
gotcha.
to put it. Yeah, and it's going to be one of those games that I think people look back on with JRPGs and it's like, man, that's when that game came out. You know? Like yeah, definitely genre defining, and it shows like how a lot of the people like Final Fantasy, like they need to step up their game.
Yeah,
You know,
I'd agree. And it's crazy because this game doesn't have incredible scope, but what it does, it goes for, and it goes all the way with every single thing. This game never feels small though. It's
yeah,
not as big as
it's not. Yeah,
as a Final Fantasy. It's a very condensed experience. This game takes, you can mainline it in, realistically, I could see somebody mainlining this in 15 hours. I think most people are going to be about 25.
yeah, maybe like 20, 25. Yeah.
So, but what this game did for indie games is pretty sweet because we've always had this idea of indie games are inherently lesser than. There was a lot of people saying that Clair Obscur should not be considered for indie awards and things like that because of how good it was, which is insane. There's this inherent, even against indie defenders, what they're really looking for is they want pixel art. You know, they want top down, they want very limited games, but indie games aren't that limited anymore. Indie games have really leveled up, and you can do a lot with a smaller team of just Joe Schmoes. Just watching them do their video with Xbox at the developer direct earlier last year, of them really being like this, like Ocean's 11 coming together, like, hey, I knew this guy could do this, so I called him up and brought him in here. Such a cool story of development for this game, and what a deserving team. Next up, Donkey Kong Bonanza. I'll let you guys take this one.
You want to go first, Matthew? I just spoke.
I like bananas. I also like
banana.
song.
Oh, baguette.
And they made destructible environments feel good. And each level felt, in general, Donkey Kong Country, yeah, the levels have a different background. They might have a little gimmick to them or whatever, but they typically all play the same. These levels required you to approach it a little differently, albeit you're still doing a platformer, but they kind of changed how you had to play the game a little bit. I think that was fun.
Yeah. There's a lot of heart and fun factor in this game. They really go for just, you know, unique experience or anything. You know, they've leaned into the like smash stuff as much as you can vibe, which never gets old. And you know, there's a lot of great platforming challenges. Like you can tell this is the Odyssey team. Like they have a good mix of the banana that's out in the open with the challenging levels thrown in there too.
This is a game that I wish it had come out at a different time. I'll be honest.
Yeah,
because there's an impact vacuum with this game. Because it for us, it hit, like, this is like, we're big Nintendo guys. Like this is good for us, but there are so many people, even Nintendo fans, who are not willing to give this a shot or
Just
downgrade
nuts.
because it's not Mario, which is
Yeah.
absolutely insane. But it unfortunately is part of the story of this game. Where I think if this came out, you know, like 1 to 3 years ago, or even just came out next year, I think people would have been in a much better place to receive this
Yeah,
game.
this game
I
would get
almost
one
wonder
game
if
of the
this
year
game
next
is
year, or like this year.
it. Yeah, I it it's one where it, I think that the impact from this game is still yet to come.
Mhm.
But anyways, uh, Dynasty Warriors Origins.
I'd pay $100 for that game. That's a
How much did you
good
actually pay
game.
for it?
$70. If they came to my house and said, "Hey, give us $30 or we're taking the game," like, yeah, here you go. And hey, you know what? You want 30 more? Here you go. And that's all I gotta say.
All right.
There you go.
Next up, uh, Ghost of Yote.
I'll take this one. I accidentally I misspelled when I was putting it on here. That's my bad. All right, next game. Just kidding.
Yeah, I think that they took the formula of Ghost of Tsushima and they opened up the scope of this and made it, that much more beautiful. This is probably like one of the best looking PS5 games right now. Like it looks really good. Um, there's more of the collectibles and like combat challenges and like open world. Like there's just a ton of more stuff to do. I'll be the first one to admit I'm not as pleased with it as Ghost of Tsushima. I kind of already said that. But I think what they did here shows that this team is really talented. And I'm really excited for what they're gonna do next. Yeah. I don't think it's game of the year. I'm just gonna say that.
All right.
I'll admit that.
We had to put a certain amount of nominees on each of these.
Yeah.
And there was definitely a consensus
Yote.
between a couple games on this one. But the final nominee here, Hollow Knight Silk Song. And that's not to take away from Ghost of Yote, by the way. It's just that there are some behemoth games this year. But oh yeah, let's talk Hollow Knight Silk Song, because this will forever be known as the game that broke Steam.
Yep.
The build up into this, and honestly, the hype is part of the story for this game. I was asked ahead of time by Bo why this game was over for Donkey Kong Bonanza for me, even though Donkey Kong Bonanza, I have said before, is a 10 out of 10, and I do not feel the same way about Silk Song. So I had to put this game first, and it's because of impact and ubiquity with with the conversation. So it's
I
not
have
just
a counterpoint to this one.
there is conversation all throughout. But first of all, impact. There is not a game that people are as diehard for as this. A smaller group of people than Clair Obscur, I'll admit. Although the game sold a lot more than Clair Obscur, but the people who are in on Silksong have been the absolute worst human beings on the face of the planet. I'm going to be real. they've been awful to everybody.
Man.
I'm so sick of it. Every time that a Silksong video pops up, the comment section is just an absolute cesspool of filth. But that's kind of what a difficult game like this is going to bring out in people. There's so much gatekeeping going on. This if you didn't enjoy it, you don't understand it. And that's a very big thing that the industry is having to deal with this year. But you also have, hey, an indie game on day one dropped 6 million copies sold. But at the same time,
what you are seeing with this
I'm going to say
game...
one more thing about this real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
The other side to this is you had this spurt of, holy cow, they had 6 million copies sold day one. They broke different storefronts, but how have the sales been since is something we got to consider.
And that's kind of leads into my next point. What you don't see with DK is this backlash of people after the game has come out who are like, man, this is what took you guys so long to make. Like, there, oh my word, you would not believe the amount of people like who have said disappointed with how long it took them to make with a game that reuses a lot of areas. They don't like the direction the game went. Like, out of the woodwork, these people come pouring out, and then you have the people who like Nolan was saying, who like gatekeep the game. It's like, man, I feel bad for the Silksong guys because like they are really good game designers. Like deep down, I believe it. But at the same time, you got to call out some of their stuff. And some of the stuff they did in this game.
The other thing I will say
It's like,
is that
man,
I see just as many people who disagree with us as agree with us. I think it's just a really split game.
oh, definitely,
But,
definitely.
uh,
It's a divisive
add?
game. It's surprising.
Yes.
When we first
Final
got
comments from Matthew.
when we first
and
got
then
in the
we're
call,
gonna
he
wrap
spent
this
10
up.
minutes telling us everything this game sucked at. So
Who? Me? Oh, Nolan.
this level's bad. This boss. Anyway.
Oh no, I talked about one boss in
There's
particular.
nothing bad I gotta say about Dynasty Origins, except you know what? It ends. That's the bad thing I gotta say.
bad
Is
I
the
have to
ending
say
of
is
the
that
game.
quick
The
scary
problem is the
DK.
price tag. It should be 10 times that amount.
But anyways, the winner for overall game of the year goes to Flare Obscure Expedition 33. Well done, team. Yeah, you did better than anyone thought you were going to do. And honestly, a lot of people
What
were
a
like,
crazy thing, yeah.
I
of
remember
nowhere.
Matthew counterpicking this game, and he still kind of believed in this game, but he was like, but it seems too good to be true. And I
Yeah, I
felt
remember that.
similarly. I was so hesitant coming into it. I was like,
I
everything they're
was a
saying is
firm
exactly what
believer.
we want to hear. And
Trusted my
you know, they
homies.
nailed it. Very well done, folks. Well, congratulations to all the winners this year. Really just 2 games taking it this year. I'm curious to see what will
Yeah.
happen next year without any I mean, obviously we have,
Next year is
the
going to be so much
gargantuan
different.
GTA 6 next year, but are they going to be winning score or narrative? Who knows? But that's going to do it for this episode. Remember that next week we're going to be talking about what we actually think is the best game of the year. And you're not going to want to miss that. Our top 10 games and the winner of best game will be determined next week. But that's going to do it for today. Again, remember, if you enjoy what we do here, don't forget to click like on this video and subscribe down below to see more. For now, I'm Super Nolan Man. This has been Dat Boy for you and the Hyrule King. You all can have a great week.